Hey y'all, welcome back, and for those of you that are new, welcome. So today I'm with Daisy. Daisy is a 5-year-old golden retriever, and she has a lot of health problems for a really young dog. So let's start with the epilepsy. So if you don't know, tiny little brief explanation of what epilepsy is. It is a neurological disorder that results in seizures. So there's a bunch of different reasons why they can have epilepsy: toxins, poisons, illnesses, infections, or inherited. And so in her case, they've kind of come to the conclusion that it's probably inherited, so they do call it idiopathic epilepsy. And that just kind of means there's no real cause, like no toxin, no poison, no infection, no illness. It's just coming through her genes somewhere. Daisy had her first seizure when she was only 9 months old, and this is a really weird story. So her first seizure, Mike and I were watching TV, it was late at night, and the lights were off, and that's one of the triggers for a seizure if they are prone to them, is that flashing light of the TV. So she was laying on the bed, and then she bolted up, and she went into a corner and looked so scared and was just looking at the wall like there was a ghost. So Mike and I were like, is there something that she's trying to tell us? Like, is there a ghost in here or something like that? Long story short, there was no ghost. She was actually having a seizure. And then right after that, we brought her to the vet the next day, where we were trying to figure out maybe if it was caused by some type of poison, toxin, other type of infection, injury, because seizures can occur from those type of things. So over time though, we had learned very quickly that it wasn't anything like that, because she actually gets cluster seizures. And what that is when she has a seizure, something in the brain pings another point of it, which will make her have another seizure and another seizure. Usually this would be over a course of 24 hours, but they aren't like back-to-back, back-to-back, back-to-back seizures. It would be like a seizure cluster, and then maybe like 2 to 3 hours up until 12 hours in between, she could have another cluster. So that's kind of what we dealt with. When it comes to seizures, there's a ton of videos that you can look up on YouTube about what a seizure looks like. But basically for her, she would convulse, she would foam at the mouth, she would defecate, and after, she would be really lethargic looking and really confused, and she didn't know where she was. She would bump into stuff. So that's what we would kind of go through with a seizure. Hey you guys, so kind of ironic, but today I filmed this video and we had applauded that Daisy hadn't had a seizure in so long, but ironically she just had one, so I just want to kind of show you what she looks like afterwards. It's not very graphic, but it can be gross, so turn off the video or close your eyes for like 5 seconds if you don't want to see it. You okay? So she's all covered in slobber because she's foaming at the mouth. Let her walk a little bit. Daisy. Daisy. Kind of how we do this when she would have a seizure is you really want to hug on them and make sure they're in a really safe place, because the seizure can actually result into something worse if they are on a bed and fall off the bed and hit their head, or if they're in a closed space and they are convulsing and hit other things and make things fall on them. All of those are things that you have to run through your mind while she's having a seizure, and you need to make sure that checklist is complete, that she's not by anything and nothing can fall on her, she can't fall on anything. And then when she is coming out of the seizure, you need to make sure that you're there loving on her and showing her you're there. Sometimes what I would do is I would hug her really tight and talk to her. It would actually help her get out of the seizure a lot quicker. And then when she got out of it, she wouldn't be as like loopy. So we always did that. And then I would go and get ice, and I'd put ice on her ears just because they get really hot during a seizure. So I'd put ice on her ears and just kind of like around her body a little bit, just so that she could cool down as quick as possible. In the beginning, we started on a medicine called Keppra, which only went through her bloodstream, so it wasn't as harsh for her. And that we only used when she would have a seizure, because they were really mild at that point. And in the world of seizures is you want your seizures to be less than 5 minutes, and then that's where you run into permanent brain damage. Her seizures have always been under 5 minutes, so that is a plus. But with that medicine, she would just get it when she had a seizure, and then over the months, if she had 1 to 2 seizures, it was still fine. But then she started to have about 3 to 4 cluster days of seizures throughout the month. So Keppra was no longer working, and that is the issue with Keppra, since it goes through the bloodstream, that it loses its longevity. So then we switched to it. She had to take the Keppra every single day as a daily medication. So we did that. I think this was so long ago, because she had her first seizure when she was 9 months, and she's 5 years old now. So we had to either do it once or twice a day until basically it was ineffective, which over about a year after that, it did become ineffective. And then we had to increase another medicine, which it's called potassium bromide, and it's a liquid form, and it's a compound medication. So she got that. First, we had to start it as a loading dose, and it was a really high dosage. And for the first week, she had to do, I think it was like 6.4 milliliters. So we had to do that every 12 hours. Then it went to just 5.4 milliliters every 24 hours. So then when she would have a seizure, since the Keppra was no longer being used as a rescue medication, we had to add a third medication, which was clorazepate. She would get that whenever she would have a seizure, so it would stop the following cluster seizures. So when she was about 3 years old, if she had a seizure, she was taking anywhere from 4 to 6 pills a day, and then the potassium bromide. Eventually, the Keppra completely stopped working. So then the seizures started to escalate, and they were more frequent, and she was not getting out of them as quickly as we had liked. So there was a couple times when she actually had to be hospitalized, and she had to be on seizure watch. And we had to go and make the decision of putting her on a medicine called phenobarbital. And the issue with phenobarbital is it was the last resort medication for me. I wanted to try everything that we could have before we got to that medicine. I don't say it's a bad medicine, but there's 2 things that I don't love about it. One is it goes through the liver. And any type of medication that goes through the liver, you run into the risk of liver damage. And 2, it used to be as an anesthesia product. So if you think about it, when we put her on it, she was kind of getting the side effects of it being used as anesthesia. She was really loopy, really drowsy. Her quality of life was terrible. So keep in mind, she had been on multiple different medications in the last 2.5 years of her life at that point. And they had made her gain a lot of weight. She was about 90, she was in like the late 90 pounds when we had started the pheno. So if you put a really heavy dog, because she's short, she's a golden retriever, mixed with an anesthesia medicine, her quality of life was just terrible. She was too heavy for her own self. So she never wanted to go outside. She never wanted to run and play. She didn't want to do anything. And at that point, she's only like a 3-year-old dog. And that's almost still like a puppy. So that was really challenging, putting her on that medicine, because I saw the side effects right away. And I just figured, you know, why am I putting this medicine in a dog and she's just losing her quality of life? So this is what she currently gets, and this is the pill. We've been weaning her off, so before it was actually a pill and a quarter. Now it's just this, and it's morning and night, so she gets that. And then this is the potassium bromide that I was telling you about, and this is 5.4 milliliters. But we've actually been weaning her off this. So she is about on her last days of this, but this is just what it looks like. It's beef flavored. With the pheno going through the liver, we always have to make sure that she gets blood work every 6 months to make sure that her levels are always in line. And also, we have given her a medication that helps support her liver, just to keep it strong, nice and strong. So last year, we started her on a weight loss plan. We were determined to get her to lose weight. So she is now down to 72 pounds, and she lost it in a healthy way. And now she can play, she runs outside, but she was still having some issues with her back legs. We were still confused why, after she lost weight, this was in the in between of her losing that weight. She was probably around like 80 pounds when we were questioning why she still can't use her back legs properly. And lo and behold, we had took her to the vet one day because, you know, we were just getting her a checkup kind of thing, and I was like, you know, her back legs don't really work. She can't jump on the bed anymore. She can't jump on the couch. You know, whenever she would get up, she would her legs would slide up underneath her. So I just didn't know what to do and why that was happening. So she got x-rays. She is a golden retriever, so they pretty much are prone to hip dysplasia. So with all that weight bearing and her getting hip dysplasia, unfortunately it resulted in her also having arthritis. So for her arthritis, she gets these treats, and clearly she loves them. They're called GlycoFlex, and they're actually filled with glucosamine, and that helps her joints. So this has really worked well for her. It's just a treat that we give her. Since her weight loss, she's been doing really well though, and since we found out that she has the arthritis, we're aware of that, and she's on those treats, she can actually now jump up on the couch a little bit better. She hasn't made it to the bed yet, but we're getting there. So once we got the seizures kind of maintained, we figured out the arthritis and that she had hip dysplasia, and we were able to treat that. Of course, another problem arose. Whenever she started to eat randomly, she would throw up after. So we were really confused about what was happening. So she did it a couple times, thought maybe she just had a bellyache. So then I finally brought her to the vet, and they did basically a physical on her, and then when they would touch her abdomen, she would be in pain. So it alluded to that she had a mild form of pancreatitis. So they put her on some fluids, gave her some medicine, and we put her on a bland diet. So that was good. Once her bland diet ran out, we brought her right back to her food, and then like clockwork, she started to vomit again. Then we're like, okay, something's wrong, so we brought her again to the vet. At this point, it was not a mild case, it was actually a pretty bad case of pancreatitis, and she had to stay overnight in the hospital. They kept her on an IV fluid all night, and again, a bland diet. So that day on, we kind of concluded that she has chronic pancreatitis, and she can no longer just eat a normal food. So she's actually on this science diet, and it helps for digestive care, so that's what she needs. And that bag is like $80, so just hope your dog never has pancreatitis, or for any reason, but for that reason alone. So now pretty much we have figured her out completely. She still has dry skin, but I think that just kind of comes with her breed. But when we do like shampoo her out and stuff like that, it cools down and then her dry skin goes away. But basically what it's like living with a dog that has epilepsy, arthritis, hip dysplasia, chronic pancreatitis, it's hard. So over the past 4 years, she has been challenging, and she has been a very, very expensive dog. We have to buy her medicine about every 30 days, and it's like $37 for the pheno, and then it's actually a whopping $70 for the potassium bromide, but actually that one's 90 days. And her food is about $80 a bag, and then all the other medication that we've had to get for her along the way, like the rescue clorazepate, and then the liver medication, and then the ongoing blood work that she has to do every 6 months. If you have any questions about any of these issues and how to deal with them and things that I've tried, you know, just put them in the comments down below and I'll be sure to answer you. All right, y'all, so that's what it's like living with a dog with epilepsy, hip dysplasia, arthritis, and chronic pancreatitis. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was a little bit informational, and maybe if you have a dog like this or any type of pet, you can relate to what we go through on a daily basis. But if you think Daisy's so cute and you're so happy with how she's doing, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.